What's going on, everybody? It is the one and only Q from Retro Q Gaming, and well, it's been an interesting couple of years in the CPU market. Sure, Intel have been a little bit stagnant, but they haven't done anything crazy, but have still managed to just retain the king of gaming CPUs. Now, AMD on the other hand have massively pulled a comeback from, well, AMD Ryzen, or thanks to AMD Ryzen. Because as we know, for the last 10 years prior to Ryzen Gen 1, well, AMD had been frankly 100% irrelevant in the gaming market since the Core 2 Duo. When that came in, it just slaughtered everything. Of course, all the i-series CPUs cemented Intel's lead for so long, but, well, AMD have pulled it back thanks to Ryzen, Ryzen 2, the current Ryzen 3 series, not to be confused with the Zen 3 series. But it's going to be very interesting going forward, seeing what the new 4th generation Ryzen is going to be like. Now, having said all that, AMD have actually announced a new line of CPUs. Unfortunately, it's not the heralded, potentially mind-blowing AMD Zen 3 based Ryzen 4 chips. There's a lot of conflicting numbers. But it's actually a mid-generation refresh of their current series, or at least some of the chips in their current series. They're specifically calling this one the Matisse refresh, and it comes in July 7th. Now, the big one to talk about here is the fact that there are 3 CPUs in the AMD Ryzen series. They will all be replacing an existing regular Ryzen X model. They will be slightly better than the previous versions, and most importantly, they're the same price, which we'll get to in price talk now in a moment. So we will have the Ryzen 5 3600 XT, the Ryzen 7 3800 XT, and the Ryzen 9 3900 XT. So you're not going to see anything major here when it comes to the likes of core count, thread count, cache count, TDP or socket or anything like that. No, the real only change that comes in here is the clock speeds. And even at that, it's marginal at best. For example, the regular AMD Ryzen 5 3600X has a standard clock speed of 4.4 GHz, whereas the 3600 XT has 4.5 GHz. Similar with the Ryzen 7, the standard 3800X has a 4.5 GHz clock speed, and the 3800 XT a 4.7 GHz clock speed. Finally, the Ryzen 9 3900X, 4.6 GHz clock speed, and the Ryzen 9 3900 XT, 4700. So overall, you're gaining 1 to 200 MHz, depending on the CPU and per core. The boost clocks remain exactly the same across all CPUs, so overall, it's a very minor improvement here. In fact, AMD's numbers put it at approximately 4%. So unfortunately, this is not the next line of CPUs from AMD that everyone was waiting for. Those will likely still be coming later this year. But what's the benefit and bonus to this existing series? Especially when you consider they could launch potentially less than 6 months from a brand new series, which would likely be touting massive performance gains. Well, since the performance gain is so small in all of these CPUs, really there's only 1 to 2 important things to talk about for this, and realistically both these points are exactly the same. It comes down to money. So first off, because these CPUs are launching to replace the existing models, they are also replacing the same price point. So if one of them was going to be €500, the new version of that one is going to be €500. So technically, you will get a little bit better performance for the same money. Or alternatively, you can now get a CPU you may have had your eye on for a little while at a reduced price. Because let's face it, if both of these CPUs, let's just use the 3900X and the 3900 XT as an example, if both of these are €500, well, you're going to pick the better one. So naturally, this is going to push down the price, even if just slightly, of the regular version CPUs. So maybe the one you are eyeing at first is now cheaper. This is likely all done for 2 reasons. One, just to clear out the old stock of the regular 3900X, the regular 3600X, the regular 3800X, and kind of keep AMD in the game, if you will. Keep them in the news, keep them with new CPUs and people talking about them, which they've pretty much accomplished because I'm here talking about that. But for the moment, it's much ado about nothing until later this year when we have the 4th series Ryzen chips based on the Zen 3 architecture, which will hopefully hopefully completely change up the game and put the performance lead, potentially, in gaming at least anyway, for AMD for the first time in how many years?